I'd like to welcome you on this beautiful Sunday morning. Every soul comes on this earth for a limited amount of time. Everyone is born, one day they die. This span between the birth and death is called life. We go on living. We are very fortunate to be able to ask, what is the purpose of this life? What am I supposed to do to live a meaningful life? Every creature who is born, if you see, early in the morning, right after waking up, everybody just sets out to look for food. Ants, birds, insects, animals, humans. Everybody looks for food, spends the time, has a little fun. You can look at the animals after they're grazing, they just fight with each other, they run with each other, they play, they sit, they rest, fall asleep. What is the difference? Between being a human? It is said a soul goes through 8,400,000 wombs. Chaurasi lakh yoni, 8,400,000 wombs a soul travels through. Being a human is on the very top. At least humans think that way. It's on the very top. From here, from this human incarnation, there is a possibility for liberation, for moksha. This life is bondage, as they say. Martyalok, this land, this dimension where we exist, is called the Martyalok. Martyalok means land of suffering, land of Mart means mrityu, land of dying. You are born, you die. How to be free from this cycle of life, birth and death? That freedom from this cycle of birth and death is called moksha, liberation, freedom. So here we are, living this life. We are very fortunate to be able to ask, what is the purpose of this life? How do I live a meaningful life? Everybody wakes up, eats, sleeps, plays, has fun, goes to sleep, next day starts the same. Is that why we are born? No. There is a higher purpose to this life. And what is that purpose? The purpose is to find freedom, How do we find the freedom from this bondage? By realizing the self. What is the realization of the self? To know that you are not separate from God, from the wholeness. You are not separate. You are interconnected. You are part of everything. The very moment we separate ourselves from the rest, we fall into suffering. The very moment us and them comes in, there is suffering. To see the self in all, to see the self in all is the highest attainment of any spiritual work. Now, what is the purpose of life? It is described in yogic thought. To live a meaningful life, one has to fulfill 4 purusharthas. Purusharth meaning, purush means human, arth means the essence, the meaningfulness. By engaging, by investing, spending our time and energy in fulfilling 4 dharmas, 4 obligations, 4 responsibilities. To name the 4, arth, dharma, kam, moksha. These are the 4 engagements that one has to apply oneself to. Arth means right livelihood. To be able to provide for yourself, your family. Dharma. Dharma, loosely translated, is my social obligations, my obligations. Kam, passion. Engage in the world with passion. You are a human being. You have been given all the senses, sense organs. Engage in the world passionately. 4th, moksha, liberation. Right livelihood or obligations, passion, and liberation. We have to apply ourselves in all these 4 daily. Now remember, there are 4. 4 creates balance. Anything supported by 4 legs is steady. Balance. We need to have a balance in our life so we can feel grounded. So here we got 4 purusharthas. Everybody cannot engage in all these 4 at the same time, because our life is also, we are born as a child, we go through our ages until old age. So lifespan is also divided in 4 parts. These are called 4 ashrams of life, 4 stages of life. We all go through these 4 stages. What are they called? They are called 4 ashrams of life. The first ashram is brahmacharya. Brahmacharya means learning, acquiring knowledge. of Brahman, acquiring knowledge that is in line with our divinity. Given a lifespan is 100 years, first 25 years is the first ashram of life called brahmacharya. This is the time of acquiring knowledge. Look at a child. The child is born. It begins to acquire knowledge through all the sense organs. Everything is in the mouth, going in the mouth, tasting, touching, smelling, feeling, learning. Then we go to school, then we begin to learn more, go to college, go to university. So first 25 years, brahmacharya, the time to acquire knowledge. So in this ashram of life, again, all those 4 purusharthas come to play. But one is predominant. Then we enter in the second ashram of life. Grihastha. Grih means house. Householder. You are in prime of your life, your body is getting strong, you are filled with acquired knowledge. It's time to engage yourself in the world as a productive member of society. It's time to raise a family, provide for the family, to fulfill your obligations, social obligations. This goes 25 to 50. Second ashram is between 25 and 50. This is time to fully engage ourselves in the society, to provide for ourselves, to raise the children, to be a really engaged member of the community. Third ashram is vanaprastha. Vana means forest. Prastha means to move towards. To move towards the forest, meaning 25 to 75. Again, see, this is the journey of your body also. After 50, you kind of, no matter how hard you try. It's the journey of the body also. So you cannot engage in the world with same vigor, and a little bit just gets tempers down. And this is the time to disengage. I have made my mark, I have proven whatever this life is supposed to make its mark, I have made my mark up to 50. After that, we are entering in the third ashram of life. This is the time to take a step back. Appreciate what you have done without comparing with anybody else. Just be grateful to whatever you were able to do. Find a way to appreciate it. Find contentment in it. Unless you are able to appreciate what you have, no matter how much you have, you are never going to be happy. Now remember those 4 purusharthas, 4 obligations. In this ashram of life, the predominant dharma becomes service. That takes, in the second ashram, providing for your family, you are more engaged with the self. In the third ashram, you begin to appreciate all the gifts you have been given, and from that comes a sense of my social obligations to be of service. And I see what people in this country, the most confused segment is the third segment. There's still little life left. And if not aware of what is my dharma in this stage of life, we keep going back to the second ashram. Keep going back to the second one. To provide more, acquire more. Time of acquisition is over. It's time to appreciate. If you have enough, you can survive. Enjoy. Be of service. Find joy in helping others. Find joy in giving to the community. There will be always somebody who has more than you and somebody who has less than you. So to fall back into the race of wanting more, having more, we have to pay a little attention to that. The real joy lies in living our dharma. The dharma of the third ashram of life is to be of service. And the fourth ashram, people are really scared of that one. 75 to 100. Because that one is called sannyas. Sannyas means renunciation. Renouncing the world. Renouncing doesn't mean you have to leave everything and go somewhere in a cave. Renouncing really means knowing deep inside, the world cannot give me anything that I already don't have. No one can give me anything that I already don't have. That's total self-reliance. And that's a journey totally related, your one-pointed connection with you and God. Your wholeness. If you're not aware of it, you're always looking for someone. What can I get from this? What can I spend a little time with this one? People are always hungry for somebody to talk to. They find their meaning by engaging with somebody else. No. This ashram is about you being able to be by yourself. This is the time to be in constant remembrance of your connection with the divine. Whatever ways you have found out, your spiritual practice, your reciting of your mantra, your contemplations, your remembrance, whatever it takes. The one and only focus of this ashram of life is one-pointedness, constant connection with your higher self. If we haven't learned that, if we haven't developed that, then we are walking around like a hungry ghost. Where can we leech on? That doesn't work. One day I was sitting with Baba in Varanasi ashram, and someone came to him and he said, Baba, I am a good human being. I work hard. But I still am not happy. And Baba simplified all this that I was trying to tell you in such a way that I heard it and I memorized it. He said, I know you are a good human being. You got 24 hours. In 24 hours, take out 10 hours, 7-8 hours for sleeping, couple of hours for taking care of your other things. So you really got around 12 or 14 hours. And in this 14 hours, you have to live in such a way that you can be happy. You can feel fulfilled, that you are living a meaningful life. So, again he said, devote a good part of this time in providing for your family. Whatever trade you are good at, whatever you are blessed with, apply that to provide for your family. Then second part, after you are done with that, devote to those who are emotionally dependent on you. Your spouse, your children, your relatives, whoever is emotionally dependent on you, devote a little time to them. Third part, little time to be of service, seva. Doing something for the other without expecting anything in return. And fourth part, devote a little time to yourself, moksha. Yourself means your connection with the divine. Whatever spiritual practice you have, find a little time to do that. These four must be touched daily. One could be 10 hours, one could be 1 hour, one could be half an hour, other one could be half an hour. They don't have to be equal. These four again could be different for a person who are what ashram of life they are in. They can just adjust their buckets of time. Those buckets remain the same in all four ashrams of life. Just one gets a little bigger, other one gets smaller, depending on which ashram I am in. In fourth ashram of life, the biggest bucket is the moksha one, last one. In third ashram of life, dharma one. It's like that. 4 buckets, 4 stages of life, they just keep adjusting. So as Baba was talking to this man, that devote your time to 4 things: right livelihood, being there for those who are emotionally dependent on you, selfless service, seva, and moksha. Now I also, as I go around, I travel, talk to people, people say, Babaji, the work I do is very good, but it's not spiritual enough. I don't feel that I say, well, look at it. The work that you are doing to provide for your family, the main purpose of that work is to provide. If you want to be spiritual, spend a little more time in the other part. After 8 or 10 hours of work, when you come home, there is your family. Don't bring work home. Give an hour. Be fully present to those who are there. Otherwise, the body is there, the spouse and children are there, they see, but there is no eye contact. Be fully present. Make eye contact. Be a child with your child. Be a spouse with your spouse. Have you seen the grandparents turning into little children when they're playing with their grandchild? You know how sweet it is. I mean, if the grandchild is not there, they are grumpy old people there. But as soon as the child comes in, they become children, and it's so sweet. Sweetness comes in. So be present to who is in front of you. Those who are emotionally dependent on you, be with them fully. Third one is seva. We are so consumed with ourselves, me and mine. Have a little time for those that you have nothing to do with. Somebody at a distance, you can just write a nice little email. Make a phone call. We usually write a phone call or make a phone call or write an email if you want something from them. Just out of fullness of your heart, just they would like to hear from you. Just this little connection will put a smile on their face. Just with that thought, I'm doing something to make somebody else happy. Spending a little time. Seva doesn't mean only going out and working in soup kitchens or something. Spending a little time right from your home to make somebody else happy, that you really don't expect anything from them. Once you are in your third ashram of life, you can spend more time, go out to do the work in the kitchen, soup kitchens and wherever. But if you are in the other ashrams of life, you can still engage in those acts of seva. Third one was seva. Fourth one is spend a little time for yourself. Little time for yourself. People have trouble with that here too. They say, I have so many people depend on me, so much expectation, I really have no time for myself. If you don't give time to yourself, you really cannot be there for others. You have to take care of yourself. Whatever your spiritual practice is, whatever connects you with your wholeness, that's very important. Finding a little time for that. You should not feel guilty. And I know many I have run into who feel guilty taking time for themselves. That's the most important thing. You have to be there first before you could be there for somebody else. Your daily routine, your meditation is important. So, a life that's balanced on these 4 posts is a balanced life. If any of these posts are wiggly, it feels imbalanced. Every soul has come alone and leaves alone. On this stage of life, we play all these different roles. We put on different costumes. We go through it. But deep inside, no. You have your own journey. And somebody else in your life, they have their own journey. You cannot save him all the time. You're not born here to save somebody else. You're born here to save yourself. Help them. All you can do. But your journey is not their journey, and their journey is not your journey. Maintaining the little inner individuality, not totally losing myself in somebody else's drama, is very important. Sometimes stop and ask yourself, have you touched all these 4 guideposts today? Have you engaged in providing for you? Have you engaged in being there for those who are emotionally dependent? Have you engaged in doing little service, selfless service? And have you engaged in taking care of your own spiritual life? Every day, these 4 must be touched. If we don't touch these 4, we feel unbalanced. And that surfaces as unhappiness. We are not content. We are very blessed living in this land. Every day I wake up with that thought that we're living in this place where there is clean water, clean air, good food. Clean environment. And just being grateful for that. If suffering comes in, look at it. It's our own creation, our own mind. It's our own mind that's getting caught up on wrong places. If you find yourself trapped somewhere, stop, take a step back, take a deep breath, look around. Find a way to be happy. This is our obligation. If you are given this gift, that's our obligation to at least be happy. Put the happy vibrations from your body around. And there is suffering and there is a way out of it, and it's all within our grasp. Thank you all. I'd love to hear what's on your mind.